we join our Poro as he begins his next adventure. He's recently run out of ice cream and all of his other stockpiled treats. They lasted him for quite a while, though, so the Poros had plenty of time to plan, as far as Poros plan. He picked up a faint smell, only every so often over the past few days. And now that he's out of all of his treats and his snacks, now is when he wants to go after it. So he packs his little pack hiding in his fur, and he begins the trek down and out of the Freljord. He's been traveling, and this is definitely not the first time that he's traveled out of the Freljord, of course. But this particular travel has been for several days. He's just been following his nose, wandering, trying to figure out where it's coming from. At one point, he wandered onto a boat. He stayed on it. Luckily for him, though, it seemed to stop in a place where the scent was much stronger. So he wanders off the boat. The stowaway breaking free. All around him, there are trees, forests, dense and tall. There's stone walkways and staircases going up and up and up. In the air hangs a heavy mist, and in some areas he can barely see in 5 feet in front of his face. Still though, he's wandering about. His nose is definitely bringing him somewhere, because as he's walking along this path and up the stairs of stone, it's getting stronger, but it's also getting thicker as far as the mist is concerned. Oh well. He doesn't really need to see where he's going, he just needs to be able to keep walking towards it. His nose has always guided him right. And so he keeps on going. Soon, though, he discovers something. The air is getting more hot, humid, but the smell is so much stronger. He can almost taste the sweetness on the air. He proceeds forward. He's starting to see these strange bamboo clusters. It's dense like walls. He can barely see past them. Well, that and the mist itself makes it very hard to see past. The bamboo cluster clears away, and he steps between several massive trees, and he can see the edge of what looks like a pond. The smell here is exceptionally strong. It's gotta be close. The Poro taps his feet back and forth in excitement, and he steps towards the pond. He sniffs it. It's definitely not the pond that smells sweet, but it doesn't smell bad. Lightly scented, almost floral. He sticks a paw into it. Oh, it's a hot spring. The Poro looks around. The mist is super heavy. Nobody would see him if he just took a quick dip. He winds back and goes soaring through the air, splashing into the pond. He submerges for a moment, enjoying the hot spring, the warmth. So this is what it's like. He brings his head out of the water. Well, his eyes, and some of his mouth. He's Poro paddling about, enjoying it, when he hears a giggle on the other side of the pond, through some of the thick mist. He snaps about, looking around. What was that? He can see somebody over in the distance. Well, through the fog, in the mist. She seems to be relaxed on the side of the pond itself. She has long black hair and maybe fox ears or something. She's relaxed and just seems to be enjoying the hot spring as well. The Poro smiles and begins to Poro paddle to the edge. He's had his fun. Now it's time to get back to finding his treats. Although, when he's trying to get up and out of the hot spring itself, there aren't really any good footholds for him. He begins to paddle vigorously, trying to get some traction and some speed, momentum to get up over this wall. In reality, it's not that tall, but a Poro is very small. That's when he feels something lifting him out of the water and setting him up. He's surprised at first. Oh! And then he lays down, is laid down on the side of the hot spring. He's dripping wet, and he patters around to turn to see what happened. Oh, that makes sense. He can see the lady that was relaxing helped pick him up and put him on the side. He pants happily. People sure are nice lately. The dripping is starting to annoy him though, and he shakes vigorously, getting all of the water out of his fur, which somehow almost immediately puffs back up. He splashes water over the place. She giggles, smiling, taking in the moment. She leans forward and just scratches under his chin. So cute. The Poro, just pleased and happy, enjoys the scratch. After a moment, she finishes, pats him on the head, and then leans back to relax in the hot spring once again. Her tails stick out of the water behind her, seeming to try to keep from getting too wet. She leans back and her tails also rest against the outside walls of the hot spring. And the Poro happily wags his fuzzy little behind and paces around the side of the hot spring again. Something is telling him that the smell is coming from very close by. And that's when the Poro sees it. There's a massive flower not too far from the hot spring, just a couple of feet away, and it seems like there's some of the spring itself on a small stream that passes right by it. Eagerly, he goes forward to check it out. The flower is huge, and it looks almost like a long pot, or maybe just a big satchel of some kind. It's very pretty. It's in almost a glowing orange color. And so, the Poro takes his pack. He gets closer, and this is definitely the source of the smell. But from where exactly? He looks over the edge of the flower petal, and he can see it. There's a reservoir there filled with nectar. Filled to the brim, almost. It's so full that the flower looks like it's almost pained from how just so full it is. Filled to capacity, the Poro can only reason, well, if I take some, it won't feel so stuffed. The Poro takes and leans the flower over until it starts pouring into his pack. Somehow, nothing leaks out the bottom of the pack or the sides, and it doesn't seem to be filling up. He drains a little over half of the nectar from that flower and takes just a little taste of it, just a drop, and it is so subtly sweet. It's perfect. The Poro begins to think, what could I use this for? I can make sweet water. That would be perfect. Could add it as a sauce over a pastry. Oh, there's so many options. The Poro, excited and mouth-watering, actually drooling over the idea of what he could do with this nectar, happily trots off. He's moving deeper into this land, up more stone staircases and through different stone roads and courtyards. The area seems to be ancient, as if there were once massive buildings here at some point. Most of them reduced to just ruins now. Our Poro does not notice it yet, but he's just going deeper and deeper into this territory. But at least he's got his nectar, and soon he'll be able to use it for any treat that he wants. Thank you for watching and listening to Our Poro, a story that I may or may not make into a podcast here in the near future. I'm going to be releasing the next episode, which will be part 2 of this particular story arc, in the next week and a half.